Where to start? My heart is full. You know, I was pondering what to share with you tonight to kick off this intensive. And I really began to think what I wanted to share with you is sort of the core message of just who I am. And really, it's the core value of this ministry. But, you know, how do you take a year of RSM, the Ramp School of Ministry? How do you take 9 months of teaching and squeeze it into a day and a half? You know, sort of, maybe, what is that? I guess it's a day and a half, 2 days. How in the world? And I think the best way I can say it is that you receive the impartation from it and just the overall purpose behind all the teaching that these kids receive in 9 months. I believe God is able to squeeze all of that together in a day and a half. That's why I'm saying you're going to leave here a little weird. I was thinking about what could I share that would really, what's the word, just pull together the core of what I want these young people that come to the Ramp, to our school, the people that run with me on our leadership team, our staff, the people that are part of our church. If I were to pass on tomorrow, what would I want to leave behind? What would be the message, the deepest part of my heart? That would be the overall, just that overall message of what the Ramp is. And that's what I'm going to share with you tonight. And the beginning of it comes out of Psalms 24, one of my favorite chapters in the Bible. And Stephen Womack, you just keep coming to my mind tonight. I think it's just because I feel like this message is so who you are. And I just thank God for you and what you mean to me and to this ministry and to this message. Psalms 24, verses, I'm going to start with verse 3. Are you ready? Say, I'm hungry. Me too. This begins by saying, who can ascend the hill of the Lord? That alone just makes me want to stop. Who can, and in the Message translation, it's my favorite. It says it like this. Who can climb Mount God? Come on. Don't you love that? Who can ascend the hill of the Lord? Who can stand in his holy place? And then it goes on to say, and we'll read that on, but you know, just stopping right there for me. Those two opening statements are not really for me as much of a question as much as it is an invitation. I hear in it sort of the same heart from God that he had whenever he was speaking, to Isaiah, and he was asking, who shall I send? And he's answering, me, send me. When I hear this voice echoing right now, who shall ascend the hill of the Lord? Come on, don't you want to just say me? It is a true invitation from God for this week, for this day, for your life. Who can ascend the hill of the Lord? Who can stand in his holy place? If you want to get practical, he'll tell you. He says, he that has clean hands and a pure heart. The NLT says, who do not worship idols and never tell lies. They shall receive the Lord's blessing and have a right relationship with God, their Savior. I love this verse. Such people may seek you and worship in your presence, O God of Jacob. And then today I was just reading on because it just gets so good. It just gets better and better. Verse 7 says, so open up ancient gates, open up ancient doors, and let the King of what? Glory enter. Who is the King of the Lord strong and mighty, the Lord invincible in battle? Open up ancient gates, open up ancient doors, and let the King of glory enter. Who is the King of glory? the Lord of heaven's armies. He is the King of glory. That is so powerful. I love it that this whole chapter is an invitation for us to experience the glory of God. That for me is the quest of my life. I am on a quest, I'm on a pursuit to encounter and live in the glory of God. I believe it's possible, and I can't be satisfied with less. This message I'm preaching tonight, I'll tell you the truth. I mean it with all of my heart, but I want to mean it so much more. I will mean every word I say tonight as much as I know how to say it on this night. But inside of me, I want to mean it even far more than I even mean it. Does that make sense? Because this week I've been thinking about the word that says, blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. And there's just been this cry in me this week. God, all of my life I've been hungry for you, but I want to be so much more hungry for you. I've been thirsty for you, but I want to be so much more thirsty for you. You know, sometimes I don't think people even realize that they're hungry. It's been so long since they've really eaten, they've even lost their appetite and don't even realize they've lost their appetite. I want to be so hungry for God. Listen to me, this is where I'm at today, this moment, this week. I don't want there to be anything in my life that I am more hungry for than the presence and the glory of God. Nothing. I don't want anything, nothing else, nothing. I don't want to be more hungry for food. I don't want to be more hungry for coffee. I don't want to be more hungry for things. I don't want to be more hungry for ministry. I don't want to be more hungry for people. I don't want to be more hungry for places. There's just nothing. I don't want there to be anything. I mean that. Lord, if there's anything in my life that I am more hungry for, I repent of it tonight. And I say, God, let hunger for you supersede every hunger in my life. I pray that, God. You know why? I want to ascend the hill of the Lord. Even before I go to heaven someday, why can't we in 2018 stand in his holy place? Come on, why not? Why not? He gives us the invitation to it. Then he lays out the criteria for it. He that has clean hands. I've just been sitting there this week. I want my hands clean. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts. See if there be any wicked way in me. Lead me in the way everlasting. I don't want anything stuck to my hands. I want clean hands. Can you hear that? When God is searching our hearts, I don't want things stuck to my hands. I don't want money stuck to my hands. I want filthiness of anything. I want clean hands. I don't believe we'll stand in his presence with dirty hands and things stuck all over him. Not the presence we're going to talk about tonight. And a pure heart. I want a pure heart. I'm in a fresh place of seeking for a pure heart. Where there's no place off limits. Where there's not a no in it. Where the motivation for what we ask for is pure and not self-seeking. What other heart could stand in his presence? Clean hands, a pure heart. Been searching this. Who's not lifted up his soul unto vanity. In other words, He doesn't have any other idols in his life. That person, think about this. No idolatry. Like we were saying a while ago, nothing else we would want more than him. No other idol, there's no other God sharing space in our heart. What does that mean? We serve who we love. We serve who we obey. We serve who we give our time to. We serve who is the priority of our heart. Just down to practical things. I mean, I'm just breaking it all down. I don't want my little iPhone to be a new idol. Something that's time-consuming and distracting. Isn't it just strange how things just grab our attention and affections? You know what I'm saying? I'm just talking tonight. Can I just talk before I do anything else? I'm just going for it. You caught me in a moment. She's been thinking about this too. This is kind of weird. No, I probably should not say this. Are we airing live? Good. Then I will. Is it not interesting that little thing is called an iPhone? There was somebody else who used that word I a lot. I will ascend and I will exalt myself above and I will. He liked the word I too. Isn't that just a little interesting thought that drifted through my mind? No idolatry. No deceit, nor sworn deceitfully in our heart. You know, even a while ago when we were singing these songs, I've just been searching my heart about a lot of things on this journey, the pursuit of this glory that we are after. Because I've been just saying, I don't want, what is it? What is it that could keep us from it, God? What is it? Because it's not only a matter of asking for it. It's not even a matter of singing really good about it. You know, it's like lately I've been finding myself just saying, God, I don't want there to be any deceit in me. Even to where I'm deceiving myself into thinking that things are all right when they're not. I don't want to sing lies to you. I don't want to just sing and think that's enough. I want my heart to be completely so His. Because what we're talking about, the glory of God, this pursuit of the glory, this ascending the hill of the Lord, this standing in His holy place. This is not talking about going to church on Sunday, even though that's very important. I'm not just talking about church attendance. I'm talking about something else. Something that is a lifetime pursuit. To be honest with you, something I have yet to see and yet have longed for all of my life. The manifestation of the glory of God. Being able in my lifetime, I'm 57, but being able in my lifetime that before I leave this earth, could I say, I fully experienced that. I saw it. There have been people experience that. That tells me it's available and I don't want to be left out. Because if you can, then I want that. And then that makes me say, then what could keep me from it? And I have found out that this pursuit of the glory of God, it is costly. It's free and yet it costs a lot. It's free, but the cost, the best word I can describe it is, the cost is flesh. Honestly, probably easier if we could just pay for it monetarily. But boy, I tell you what, if we did that, we found out the disciples in the book of Acts, they will rebuke you royally. The Holy Ghost will rebuke you royally for even thinking you can buy the power and the presence of God. His power, His glory is so precious, we don't even think of comparing it to something you can buy with money. But it does cost flesh. Because no flesh will glory in His presence. no flesh will glory in his presence. So don't feel overwhelmed and sit there and think, oh God, I know me and I'm just checked out. Oh dear God, I'll never measure up. You know what? If you couldn't have, I'm going to explain measure up in a second. If you couldn't have measured up, he would have never invited you. If you could not have come, he would have never given you the invitation. He does not tease with his word. We measure up through Jesus, who gives us clean hands and pure hearts. But yet, we also walk in obedience to make sure there's no idolatry in us and no willingness to stay in sin whenever he is speaking to our hearts about certain things. So this word for me, who will ascend the hill of the Lord, is ringing in my spirit, and it has for years. I want to not only to spend my life pursuing this and believing I will experience it. And you know what? I don't see it as I'm going to experience it someday before I die when I'm 96. I want to experience it June the 26th, 2018. I'm on the quest that says, God, let it be tonight. Break in tonight at RSM Intensive. Let this be the week at the ramp that we have been pointing toward and believing for. Come on. Can we believe for that? Why not? Why not ask? He didn't tell us we couldn't. In fact, he told us to ask, and to ask believing. When you talk about the glory of God, there's many facets to the glory of God. We don't have time to go into all that kind of a teaching tonight. You'd have to come to RSM, which you are, but it would take too long tonight to break it all down. But two little interesting, let me break down two little parts of the glory of God. We're going to talk about the main one that I want to emphasize tonight in just a moment. But let me break down just one component when we talk about pursuing the glory of God. Even when you're thinking, well, what is the glory? Because the glory, in some ways, it's almost like a religious cliche. Now, when I was a little girl growing up in church, it was, just over in the glory land, because everything that was coming that was good was going to be when we get to heaven, and we just got to endure earth until we can get to heaven, right? I mean, I appreciate the message on some of it, but that's not the way it is. We don't have to endure earth until we get to heaven. Jesus said that we can bring heaven to earth. Let your kingdom come. Your will be done right now on earth as it is in heaven. So what's in heaven we can experience on earth. So when you're talking about the glory of God, obviously in the Bible, there's a place when the temple was being dedicated and the glory of God came in like a cloud. They couldn't even stand up. There's all kinds of ways we can describe it. This is one interesting facet of the glory. I believe it's in Ezekiel 33 when Moses, who we'll talk about in just a moment, encountered the glory of God. And the Bible says when Moses encountered the glory that God told him, whenever he explained what he was going to experience, I'm going to show you my goodness. You're going to see something. So when you're talking about the glory of God, it's more than just coming to church and hearing about God. It's being in the house of the Lord or your own home or wherever you are, and you experience something. In other words, for Moses, I'm going to let you look at with your natural eye, you're going to see something. I believe this facet of the glory is something that literally all of your senses can experience. A lot of people don't even realize God can be experienced that way. It's what happened to Paul when he was knocked off his horse. He saw something that was so incredible he was blind for 3 days, so God had to heal him. The glory of God is a powerful thing. Whoa. Some people will be in worship and they smell something sweet. I've heard people say, I just begin to smell like this wonderful aroma of flowers or roses. Obviously because he's the rose of Sharon. So when you are experiencing, some people hear angels, some people see Jesus, or when you're experiencing those things, you're touching into the outer realms of glory. The next thing that was interesting that God told Moses was, I'm going to show you my glory, but I'm also going to proclaim to you my name. In other words, you're not just going to hear my name with your natural ear. You're going to hear it by the spirit of wisdom and revelation. It's when the glory of God is in the room, you'll experience his presence, but with it comes a revelation of who he is. It's like that thing that you just, revelation, that there's not even English words for it. It's like you see things in the spirit realm and you comprehend it and understand it by the Spirit of God. You try to explain it to people and it's just like, wow. I want to live my life on the quest for more and more of that glory. When we come into the ramp, I don't come in here this weekend, tonight in this service, just to get through a routine service. I am always in this room on the lookout for the glory. You know why? He ruined me. I've only tasted a little bit. The thing about the glory of God that you're going to find that's interesting is in the verse we just said, who will ascend the hill of the Lord. The pursuit for the glory you'll find is always an ascent. Your journeying, your pursuit for this God, who will climb Mount God? You're going to find in your life more all the time. This journey is always an ascent up the hill of the Lord. You don't live your life. The Bible says we go from glory to glory. You don't live your life in your walk with God like just this normal average from glory to glory. You know, from glory to glory. If you want to know what it looks like, your walk with God, your pursuit for God, it looks like from glory to glory. Yeah, I wish I had a ladder because I'd just keep climbing. Glory to glory. Always an ascent. Because the glory is always calling you higher. Yes, it is. That's why you came to RSM this week. You didn't even understand, for some of you, why you were feeling that pull, because the glory was calling you higher. The reason for that is because the glory will never leave you where you are. The glory is always whispering, there's more. Because once you come into a new glory in your life, you'll know it. It's like, whoa, you just broke into something. And then you'll hear before long, there's more. Because there's always more. Say there's always more. I want you to get that really, really good. Say it again. The glory has a voice. Jesus spoke to John in the book of Revelation when he said, and John was saying this, I saw a door opened in the heaven and I heard a voice saying, come up here. Come on. That's what the Holy Ghost has done for you this week. There's that door that is still open in heaven, and that voice is calling you this week, this night. Some people hear that voice and they don't really know what to do with it, not even sure they're interested in it. You know, a call to what? A call, come up here, call to the glory. What are you even talking about? We know, what does that even mean? And what will it cost me? And is it necessary? Is all that necessary to make it to heaven? You know, I can't even imagine what John would have lost and what he would have missed. Had John been sitting on the Isle of Patmos in that prison and looked up and saw the door opened in heaven and heard a voice and an invitation saying, John, come up higher. I want to show you some things. And he'd have said, is it necessary? I mean, I'm not sure about it. Never done that before. I'm pretty comfortable down here, actually. Even though it's a prison, I've actually kind of gotten a little comfortable with it. I'm not sure about it. Let me pray about it a while, and I'll let you know. Go read the book of Revelation and see what he would have missed if he'd have decided to stay comfortable where he was. It's interesting to me that God never does let us get too comfortable in one place for too long. He is always calling us higher. How do you know that he is calling you higher? when you hit the ceiling. When you hit a spiritual ceiling in your life. You'll know something's up. Whenever your worship becomes mechanical. Whenever your prayer life starts getting sort of dry and stale and, I've done my duty and I'm still not satisfied, and I go to church and it's just the routine and it doesn't mean you need to leave. It just means that you need to say, Jesus, break this ceiling off right here, God. Come on, it's in that place. It's in that place of hearing that voice that you got a decision to make. It's whenever you hit the ceiling, you got to determine. It's a very important place, actually, because that's when you're confronted with that emptiness on the inside of you. And you got to determine whether or not you're going to stay there at that dry place and just learn how to make it work for you, or whether or not you're going to take a shovel and start digging until you can hit water. We received a word I ain't got time to tell you about a while back here about digging with a shovel, because the Lord handed all of us here at the ramp a shovel. You know what I think it's for? I think there's water to be had. And don't you find it interesting that with God, to go up and to ascend, you got to go down. That's just the way the kingdom works. Anything he says, there's an opposite to it that'll work. We want to ascend, we got to start digging. And what you do is you're digging to hit the water of the Spirit. What does that mean? I am moving the flesh out of the way so I can hit the water of the Spirit. That's just what I call this place of glorious frustration. Do you understand what I'm saying? A glorious frustration. Do you live there? Does anybody else live there besides me? Does anyone else in this room tonight ever hear a voice almost every day of your life calling you and telling you that there's more? Pushing you and pulling you. And I know some people hear this and they think that poor lady, she just lives in this place of striving all the time. Bless her heart. Is she just never happy and content? I was telling them the other night at the ramp here, something we were doing. And it just came out of my mouth, but I heard it, I thought, that's just the truth. This is not a matter of this pursuit, is not a pursuit for earning. This is from yearning. I am not pursuing God like this because I feel like I need to earn my position in Him, because I need to earn His acceptance and His love for me. No, I am so secure in that. I am so aware of His love for me. It is that awareness of His love for me that has so blown me away that God would do what He did because He loved me. Then the only response I can give Him is to live my life running after Him, to know Him, to worship Him, to thank Him. It's not for the sake of earning it or striving. I'm not saying these things because I don't pray or read my Bible. I'm very content in who I am as a daughter of God. It's just that I cannot settle there. I know that there's a lot of people that actually, and this almost sounds like I'm being critical. I don't mean to be critical. But I know that there are some people that, seem to be content with, I believe in God, I go to church, I volunteer, I read my Bible, I have my devotionals, and when I die, I'm going to go to heaven. And that's fine for some people just to go to church on Sunday mornings and live their life. But is there anybody else in this room tonight that just cannot be satisfied with normal? Because one of the greatest battles you will fight in your life will be the battle with normal. Every day. It stands in front of us, especially as Americans. What is normal can be so appealing because it is so comfortable. It is so safe. It's so predictable. It's so easy. And it's so empty. I have two problems with normal. Number one, him. Number two, them. The biggest problem I have with normal is when I look up at this God, He is anything but normal. Nothing He does is normal. When I read the account of how he lived on this earth and the way he lived his life, it did not look normal. And neither did the lives of the people that followed him in any way look normal. When I look at every time he acts, it's extraordinary. It's over the top. It's hyper dramatic. It's all in. It's his best all the time. He's anything but a normal God. A normal God would be a boring God. That's the gods of this world. They're boring because they're normal. Even religion itself is boring because it's normal. But our God is not boring or normal. I love that. When I look at just what he's created all by itself, I don't serve a normal God. I can't live just a normal Christian life. I don't want to. I'll tell you the other reason. Not only for him, but for them. The young men and women outside these walls, the old ones, the little ones, every age, all of humanity. If normal Christianity would have delivered them, saved them, healed them, reached them, they would have been reached generations ago. Normal is not reaching a lost generation. Never has, never will. But in this word, in the book of Acts, the people that affected them, the people that turned the world upside down, were people who did not live normal lives. Oh. Them. The bound, the addicted, the diseased, desperate for a manifestation of the glory of God. I cannot be content to live my life just coming to church on Sunday mornings and going home and going back and visiting people in the hospital like I did this week and looking into the eyes of a dear friend with cancer and her looking at me with eyes of desperation saying, I want to get out of this bed. I want to get out of this bed. Normal will never bring her out of that bed. But the glory of God can bring her out of that bed. We have to have a manifestation of the true glory of God again in the church and in our lives. There can be nothing else. Nothing else will do. No other substitute. Just a manifestation of the true presence and glory of God. What will it take? I don't even know. I just know that I want to find it. Which brings us to this point. We have a decision to make. Every church has a decision to make. Do we want church or do we want glory? Please don't interpret this that I'm anti-church, because I am not. I love the church and I love the full body of Christ. And every denomination that calls Jesus Lord, I love them all. And I love to find what I can agree with and support them in all of them. I just want to establish that right now. I love the church. But I do want to call the church. Let me say it this way. I want to call the church's attention to this voice that's calling us higher. We have a decision to make. Do we want church or do we want glory? It's been interesting. In my lifetime, I was thinking about this again today. Even in my 57 years, I have seen the church go through these phases. And actually, in all these phases, there's good in all of them. There really is. And I mean, way before I was born, I'm sure it went through many other transitions, obviously. But in my lifetime, I remember in the 60s, I have experienced personally, I've seen the traditional Pentecostal movement. It's wonderful. Loved it. No regrets. Thankful I was raised in it. I've seen us go from traditional Pentecostal, the charismatic movement. Watched all that. That was so fun in the 70s and 80s when all that came in. It was glorious. So funny. I just think about this. Well, I won't do that. Oh, God. We've gone from traditional Pentecostal, charismatic, now we're in cool church. there's good to be found in all of this. But just whenever we think we've got it all figured out in whatever phase we're in currently, just when we think we got it all to our methods and our strategies, and we can just do this finally, we got it, this is it, we got it all figured out, that voice starts messing everything up again. Whispering, there's still more. But more is risky. Glory is especially risky because glory can't be formalized. Glory cannot be put in a box. Glory can't be controlled by men. Glory can't even be explained. I'm trying right now. You can see it can't be. And I've never really heard anyone describe it adequately. Glory is, you try to, it's sort of like that thing that, oh, the glory. It scares people. It scares people to think that something could come into their services or to their lives that they couldn't control. That's scary. That they couldn't predict. Because we prefer the box. We're comfortable there. We know what's going to happen and we like that, right? And we understand that there's a place for some of that. Sometimes there's a great place for that. But there's something else that can be had with it. Are you following me? It scares people because it's sort of like the children of Israel. With the children of Israel, with Moses, the children of Israel they loved the cloud of the presence that was with them when they exited Egypt. They loved the showdown in Egypt. That was amazing. They loved the plagues. Man, they loved seeing the water part, and they did love the cloud, and they loved the manna. But that thunder and lightning stuff on the mountain, now Moses, that is really scary to us and weird. And we would rather just stay down here and be with our cloud and play with our idols. And you, Moses, you go up to the mountain and then you come back and just tell us what God said. God was so angry with their idolatry after all he had done for them. He was so angry with their idolatry, he was going to destroy them all of them. After he had delivered them from Egypt, he was going to wipe them all out. All of them but Moses. And he would have had Moses, the intercessor, not stepped in. Oh, God. Oh, God. You can't do that, God. Because if you destroy them, what would your enemies say about you, God? What would they say that you brought us out of Egypt just to bring us out to the wilderness to kill us, God? The intercessor steps in between God and the people, between judgment and mercy. And here he stands. And the Bible says, after Moses talks with him, so God changed his mind. Whoa. That's a whole nother message. And so Moses hears this word from God. He's changed his mind. He says to Moses, he says, okay, I won't kill them. I'm going to paraphrase it. He says, I won't kill them, Moses. And I'll tell you what, I will let you go ahead. You all go on into the promised land. I've given my word and my covenant to my friend Abraham, and I'm not going to break my word. You go ahead and take the children of Israel on into the promised land. I'm not going with you. Now, for some people and some of the children of Israel, if Moses had have gone back to them and just said, he says that we can go on into the promised land, but he's not going with us. There'd have probably been some of the people that have been like, well, you know what? That's okay. Because God, we thank you for what you've done for us. And you brought us out of Egypt. Woo! You delivered us with a mighty hand. We appreciate what you did to deliver us, God. We thank you for all of your blessings. Now everybody just get packed up because we're going on. Come on, he said we can go on. Let's everybody get moving. Thank you, God. We appreciate all you did. Can't wait for that promised land. That'd have been fine. Some of them would have been just fine with just the blessing without the presence, but not Moses. Oh, no. While they were packing their stuff to head to the promised land, Moses is standing still before God. Now, God, just a minute. Wait just a minute. Lord, I appreciate you letting us take the land of promise. I appreciate what you have done for us, God. I thank you, God, that you will fulfill your word and take us to the promised land. But God, I am here to tell you right now, as your friend, if your presence does not go with us, God, then we will not go. We would rather stay here in this wilderness and eat manna for the rest of our lives than to go into that land of promise and eat the grapes without you. God, if you're not going, we will not go. The Bible shows it again. Moses, the intercessor, petitions God, and the Bible says, so God changed his mind. And he says, okay then, I will go. Now, can you imagine the joy? Moses turns around. Guys, this is glorious. We're going to be able to go into the promised land, and the presence is going with us. He's going too. Everybody get packed up and moving. For some people, that would have been, oh, this is wonderful. Woo! God's going with us. Now we've got the cloud so that when we want to feel a little presence, we can feel a little presence when we want to. So this is good. We got the promise, and we've got some presence when we want to feel the presence, because they love just some presence with them, but not Moses. He loves the presence, but even presence is not enough for some people. Moses is still standing there. They're still packing to leave, all excited about the promised land and all the grapes and all the stuff they're about to have, and now they got a little presence. Moses is still standing there. But God, thank you for the promise. Thank you for your presence. And I love your presence, God. And I want your presence, God. But can I ask you just one more thing? Will you show me your glory? What blows my mind about this is that God did not say no. He says to Moses, I will show my glory to who I choose to show my glory to. Forget the water. Then he says, oh, Moses, come here. I'm going to put you right here. I loved it. I read it again today. He says, I'm going to put you right here on this rock near me. I loved that. He said, I'm going to let you come stand on the rock near me. And he says, what I'm going to do, he says, because no man can see my face and live. So he says, so what I'm going to do is, as you're standing there in this cleft of this rock, I'm going to take my hand, I'm going to cover your eyes, I'm going to cover your face, and then I'm going to come down with my hand over your face, and I'm going to pass before you. And then just when I can, I'm going to remove my hand, and I'm going to let you see my back parts. I'm going to let my glory just pass before you. Whoa. Did you know what happened? If you read it in Exodus 33, beautiful. Just open to it. I love it when that happens. Exodus 33, look at this. So he says, look, stand near me on the rock. He says, then I will move my hand, let you see me from behind. And then it goes, but my face will not be seen. I'm just standing there on the cliffhanger. Pardon the pun. Cliffhanger. I mean, like, what did you see? I mean, the goodness of God is passing before you. God is removing his hand. You're about to see the back part of God, the goodness of God. Next thing that happens. Then the Lord told Moses, chisel out stones like the first ones, and I'll write them on the same words that when the tablets that you smashed. Totally changes the subject. Like, Moses, how could you do that to us? Leave us hanging right there. He's about to move his hand. You're about to see God. And we change the subject. We're going to start cutting out stones and writing on them. You know what I think? As Bob Sorge said, I think there's some things there's no words for. What Moses saw in that moment when God's hand was moved from his eyes, Moses just has to stop writing anything. There's no words for it. Oh. But let me tell you one thing. God never forgets a prayer. Because 1,400 years later, 1,400 years later, when Moses is in paradise with God, up there in the beautiful place in the presence of God, God remembers the prayer he prayed. On that day when he prayed it, God's face could not be seen. But 1,400 years later, God calls Moses to his throne. Moses, come here. Come here. I want to show you something. Come here. Oh, Elijah, you're with him too. All right. Well, come on, Elijah. You can go too. Come on. Come on. Both of you, come on. Moses, Elijah, come here. Do you see the top of that mountain right there? And Moses and Elijah begin descending out of paradise. And at the same time, the glory of God himself was ascending the hill of the Lord. Come on. To meet the man who dared pray the prayer so that Moses could have his prayer fully answered by God. Moses stood on the top of that mountain. And I just find it interesting. Of course, it was on the top of the mountain. Someday when I get there, I'm going to say, was it the same mountain you asked when you asked for the first time? Moses looks in the face of Jesus, face to face. He sees the fulfillment of the answer to his prayer. Show me your glory. Show me your glory. Because in the face of the Son of God, Moses saw the fullness of the glory of God. You want to know what the glory of God looks like? The glory of God looks like the manifestation of Jesus. That's what the glory of God looks like. And it's not just something that would have to be experienced 1,400 years ago. No. Right now in 2018, we are still praying the prayer of Moses. Lord, if you did it for Moses, you can do it for us. Show us your glory. Show us. I mean, you think, what did Moses do to deserve that? You know what Moses did? You know what Moses did? He asked. He just asked. And if God answered Moses by saying, I will show my glory to who I choose to show my glory to, then I'm going to live my life saying, God, choose me. God, choose me. God, show me your glory. Could it be that God shows his glory to those people who are not willing to live any other way except to see it? Those that are not willing to settle for anything less than his glory. Maybe that's the one God chooses. If that be the case, that it's a pursuing heart. If that be the case, then God, this night, would you stand up? No, I'm sorry. Just sit back down. Come to the piano, sweetheart. Maybe it really is just a matter of the heart. Those people that's not willing to say, you know, Lord, I want all your blessings. And whether you come or not in my life, or whether or not you come into our services and our churches and our ministries, you know, we've got this down. We got this. Thank you for delivering us from sin. You've done awesome things. Thank you for delivering us from Egypt. And we got this, God. Thank you. Whether or not you're there or not, we got this cool thing going on so much. And maybe there's some that's like, you know, I love God and I want to feel him sometimes. I just don't want too much. How could I live knowing there was more that I wasn't willing to pursue? that I wasn't willing to pay the price for? I'm not meaning to put you under condemnation. Don't take it that way. I'm just talking about my own heart. I just can't live that way. I can't live for anything less. I don't want that. I don't want that. It's a matter of the heart. It's seeking hearts, pursuing hearts, hearts that are satisfied in Him and yet never satisfied. A seeking, pursuing heart will always manifest its passion. That's right. A seeking, pursuing heart will always manifest its passion. What does it look like to be on a pursuit for the glory of God? What does it look like to be on a pursuit for the manifestation of Jesus? For one thing, how will you know when the glory is there, Karen? How will you know? I'll tell you how you'll know. What did it look like when Jesus was on earth 2,000 years ago? Ask Bartimaeus. Ask the one with the issue of blood. Ask Jairus. Ask Lazarus. Ask the woman that was bowed over for 18 years. Ask the man with the withered hand. Ask the woman at the well. Ask those people, what was it like when you were around the manifestation of Jesus? What was it like? Ask those people. You know what it's like when you're in the presence of Jesus? Changed lives. That's how we'll know He's in the room. When drug addicts don't want drugs anymore. When kids that are cutting want to be free. Come on. When kids that have lost their identity about who they even are walk in wholeness as men and women of God, walking in the fullness of their purpose. Come on. Yeah, when kids that are completely bound to drug addiction and now they absolutely, all the chains are broken, you'll know Jesus was in the house. Come on, when cancer is defeated and destroyed and right in front of our eyes, blind eyes are open and deaf ears are opening, we'll know the manifestation of Jesus is in the house. That's how we'll know. Not just a feel good. Listen, I like feeling good. I like the feel good presence, but I want the glory. What does it look like to pursue it? A searching, pursuing heart will always manifest its passion. Oh, yes, it will. There's nothing about God that's passive. There's nothing about God that is passive. How could we, His sons and daughters, express ourselves any less than who He is? There's nothing about Him that just sits back half-hearted for anything at any time ever. Anything He does for us, it's extravagant and fully and all the way. How could we give Him anything less? How do we pursue this glory? Several months ago now, I was driving down the road on my phone, and up on my phone pops, you know how these little things pop up random, you don't know what in the world, how they got there, but this little thing pops up and it said Secretariat's last race. And I thought it was interesting. I love horses. I think the most beautiful animal God created. I've never been into horse racing in my life, never known much about it. But I just punched that little thing, and up comes this horse race and this story about Secretariat. I watched this race, and when I watched this race, I was just sitting there. I wasn't in a crying mood. I wasn't in an emotional mood. I was just watching, just looking at my phone. And this thing pops up. And from the moment I watched it, I had never seen it. And from the moment I watched this race, I started weeping, like out of nowhere. And I knew God was doing something. I'm like, what is this? Why am I crying? And I watched it again. I'm crying more. I watched it again. I'm shaking. I'm crying so hard. And I didn't even know what was being done or said in me. All I knew was God is speaking to me, but I don't know what it is. But I know God's speaking to me. I went on a search, and I began to search the story out to begin to understand what is the Holy Spirit trying to tell me. And I found out something very interesting about that beautiful horse. It was born in 1973, I believe, or maybe the race was in 73. I think actually the race was in 72, 73. Secretariat was just a perfect specimen of a horse. He was beautiful. Now, if you've seen the movie or if you know anything about it, his owner was a lady that basically just took the risk for everything that she had, her father's farm, in order to have the first choice to pick this secretariat when he was young and little. And he wasn't the first choice of the people that were choosing here. He was like the one that you would have thought they wouldn't have gotten when he was young. But this woman saw something in that horse that she knew. She just felt something about this horse, so she chooses that one in its secretariat. Long story short, she begins to race secretariat, and from the get-go, he's got it. He begins to win these races. Well, it comes time for the possibility to win the Triple Crown. So, the first race, obviously, what is that? The Belmont Stakes? No, the what? Kentucky Derby, that's first. The Preakness, is that one? Did I say that right? Preakness? Y'all know more about it than I do, don't you? That was the second one. So he won both of those races. The third one is the Belmont Stakes, is that right? The third one is the Belmont Stakes. Now, the third race was the one I saw. What got me about this race is that two things particularly. The one thing was this was the longest run of them all. They were the most concerned. They figured Secretariat would win the first two. But this one, they were more concerned about. They were concerned as to whether or not he would be able to hold up for the endurance of the race, for the length of the race. This was going to be longer than what he was used to doing. They didn't know that he'd be able to pull this one off, to hold that pace for the long haul and for the distance. So they were concerned about it. It was a little bit iffy because Secretariat was running against a horse, another horse that a lot of people had put their bet on, named Sham. Now, Sham was also a beautiful horse, and a lot of people thought that he would be more apt to be able to win for the long haul. But when they opened the gate and he began to run, an amazing thing happened. And this is the race that I saw. This is not the movie. This is the actual race. Now, wait. Hold it. Before you see it, let me say this. When you see this race, I want you to see it through eyes of the Spirit and the voice of God and what He is calling you for this week, this night. A pursuit for the glory of God in your life. I want you to look at Secretariat, and I want you to see an example of what a pursuing, passionate heart really looks like. I want you to look at that horse and see what it looks like to run after something you want bad. Because the intensity and the pace of your pursuit will be determined by how bad you want what you're running after. When you look at this race, I want you to watch Secretariat running against Sham. And when you see that, I want you to understand, for the rest of your life, you're going to be running against sham Christianity. For the rest of your life, you're going to be running right beside what people call normal. And a lot of people think that's the one that will win. And you won't always be understood for your heart of pursuit. But I want you to watch an example of what I believe God is calling us to do in our run. Watch.
Ready to go for this tremendous Belmont Stakes. Everybody's in line, and they're off. Looks like the early lead goes to My Gallant. Yes, My Gallant going for the lead with Twice the Prince on the outside. Secretariat away very well, has good position on the rail, and in fact is now going up with the leader. They're moving for the first turn. It is Secretariat. Sham on the outside is also moving along strongly. And now it's Sham. Sham and Secretariat are right together into the first turn. My Gallant has third behind them. Then it's Twice the Prince, and the trailer is Private Smiles as they go by the turn. Those two together, Sham on the outside. Sham getting ahead in front as they move around the turn with Secretariat second. Then there's a large gap. Make it 8 lengths back to My Gallant in third and Twice the Prince fourth. And Private Smiles is still the trailer. They're down the backstretch. It's almost a match race now. Secretariat's on the inside, by ahead. Sham is on the outside. They've opened 10 lengths on My Gallant, who is third by ahead, with Twice a Prince fourth. Then it's another 8 lengths back to Private Smiles, who is trailing the field. They continue down the backstretch, and that's Secretariat now taking the lead. He's got it by about a length and a half. Still Sham, 10 lengths back. My Gallant, Twice a Prince. They're moving on the turn now. For the turn at Secretariat. He looks like he's opening. The lead is increasing. They get 3 and a half. He's moving into the turn. Secretariat holding on to a large lead. Sham is second, and then it's a long way back to My Gallant and Twice a Prince. They're on the turn, and Secretariat is blazing along. The first 3/4 of a mile in 109 and 4/5. Secretariat is rising now. He is moving like a tremendous machine. Secretariat by 12. Secretariat by 14 lengths on the turn. Sham is dropping back. It looks like they'll catch him today. As My Gallant and Twice a Prince are both coming up to him now. The Secretariat is all alone. He's out there almost a 1/6 of a mile away from the rest of the horses. Secretariat is in a position that is impossible to get. He's into the stretch. Secretariat leads his field by 18 lengths. And now Twice a Prince is going in second. And My Gallant is moved back to third. They're in the stretch. Secretariat has opened a 22-length lead. He is going to be the Triple Crown winner. Here comes Secretariat to the wire. An unbelievable, an amazing performance. He hits the finish 25 lengths in front. It's going to be Twice a Prince second. My Gallant third. Private Smiles fourth. And Sham, who had it today, dropped back to fifth. An amazing, unbelievable performance.
You can stand all over this room. Would you do that? You can play. Some of you know already, when Secretariat died, they did an autopsy on his heart. And what they found out was that Secretariat had a heart that was almost 3 times the size of a normal horse's heart. Almost. He won that race by 31 lengths. Unheard of before or since. I just think to myself, you know, Sham had the look, but Sham didn't have the heart. And for you tonight, I don't know what some people may think about what normal Christianity should look like, but for you, I believe it looks like a pursuing, passionate heart for God for the rest of your life. I find it interesting when Secretariat makes that turn. The announcer makes this one statement. It catches my ear every time. He says, Secretariat, he's all alone. And there'll be a lot of days you're going to feel alone. And you won't always be understood, sometimes by family, by people that are the closest to you. But keep running. Keep running. Because our prize is that we have set our eyes, laying aside every weight and every sin that does so easily beset us. We run with patience this race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith. Psalms 119. Micah, come here and tell them what it is. The first time I preached this and Micah was here, he came up to this microphone. I didn't even know this verse was in the Bible. And Micah said, look, Miss Karen, look at this verse. Tell him.
Psalm 119:32 says, I will run the course of your commandments, for you shall enlarge my heart.
Come on. If that's your heart tonight, I want you to come up here. We're going to pray together all over this room. Come on, everybody. Come on. A fresh commitment to the run. A fresh commitment to the pursuit. Come on, all over this room. Don't you know that's why God brought you here this week? Just to say, God, let that be me in my heart. Can we just begin this prayer? Can we begin this prayer right here where I've been for days? Who will ascend the hill of the Lord? he that has clean hands and a pure heart. Would you just start right there? Lord, give me clean hands and a pure heart. Who's not lifted up his soul unto vanity nor sworn deceitfully. Lord, search every part of my heart.